just don't assume whatever your employer tells you regarding what your rights under the statute are, that you're only entitled to that.
Do you know what to do if you're hurt on the job? That's what we're going to ask the lawyer this time. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com. My guest is attorney Jasper Abbott of the Warshauer Law Group in Atlanta. Jasper, thank you for making some time to answer our questions today.
No problem.
So there are lots of ways to get hurt on the job. Let's start with, let's say, an industrial product. You're injured with an industrial product while you're working. What should your first action be? What should people do?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You need to go to the doctor and seek medical attention. In a lot of these situations, unfortunately, it means going to the ER, and that should be your first step, because you need to make sure that all of your physical injuries are addressed immediately to prevent any exacerbation of those injuries.
Okay, and then after I get treatment for my injuries, then what? Just go back to work as usual? What if I can't go back to work? Do I need to report it to somebody? What are my steps?
Your next step is to report it to your employer, because likely there's a workers' comp type of statute that would apply to you getting injured on the job, which then would provide that your employer has to address all their obligations under the workers' comp statute, which include taking care of your medical bills, you being on some sort of disability, that type of thing. And that sort of be your first step, is inform your employer of what occurred.
And if it is a workers' comp situation, could there be a situation where there's workers' comp and then I may still also have some sort of legal action against my attorney, or is that negated by workers' comp?
Oh, absolutely. You can have situations where you have workers' comp, but also have a claim based on the defective nature of the product. So workers' comp is basically a sort of a strict liability type of statute where automatically once you're hurt while performing your work duties, you're able to receive some medical treatment to address those injuries. However, when you're dealing with the defective product, you still have a claim against that manufacturer or retailer or wholesaler who is in the stream of commerce for that product, to possibly bring a product liability claim against them based on the defective nature of that product.
What if it's, say, a machine, some sort of a machine I get hurt with at work? So you're saying I could have a claim against the manufacturer of the machine, but what if the machine was not properly maintained? Is there any sort of action against my employer for that?
There's not necessarily a action against your employer for that, because a lot of times workers' comp sort of tries to encompass all of those type of injuries. There can occasionally be, depending on your particular state, but typically if there's something doing with the maintenance, you need to check to make sure they're maintaining the machine properly. But even when there's an issue with the maintenance, I suggest consulting a products liability attorney, because it could be an issue where the nature of the machine or the instructions given to your employer on how to maintain the machine are themselves have issues. And so you need to, I would say, consult a product liability attorney to address that matter before just assuming, oh, they didn't follow this maintenance schedule, or it was this product that they replaced on the machine and that's what caused the injury. A lot of times what we're finding is, yes, it's something that they might have replaced on the product, but that replacement itself was in fact defective, and you still have a viable claim.
So workers' comp can cover me for my medical expenses. Does it also cover for my time missed at work? And is this the kind of thing I need an attorney to help walk me through the process?
Workers' comp can also cover for your time missed at work. You'll need to consult a workers' comp attorney. That's outside of our area of expertise, but however, we have great relationships with workers' comp attorneys both here in Atlanta and Georgia and even across the country. And you'll need a competent workers' comp attorney to sort of address the specifics of your state and your issue, because that's really a sort of really state-specific issue. However, you should consult an attorney when dealing with that issue. Just don't assume whatever your employer tells you regarding what your rights under the statute are, that you're only entitled to that.
That's a great advice. If we suspect there's a product liability issue, what if I think I can't afford an attorney to take on my products liability case?
Well, here at Warshauer Law Group and in most firms that handle these type of products liability cases, we don't receive anything unless you prevail in your case. So you come to us, you're going to get a free consultation and be able to talk to us about the case. We're going to research the case with no expense to you, determine if it's a viable product liability case, and we'll bring and prosecute the case without any expense to you unless you recover from that case. So expense for an attorney should not be a factor in your determination on if you should pursue a product liability claim.
Is there any advice for somebody that thinks they might have a products liability claim as far as like, should I compile any evidence, take pictures, anything like that?
I would say if you're injured and you go and get medical attention and inform your employer, it wouldn't be bad to also maybe develop a narrative about how the accident occurred. And then I would say consult an attorney as soon as possible. What we don't want to have is you sort of doing your own investigation of the claim, because really this is what our job is to do as attorneys, is to figure out the specifics of your claim. So my advice would be to get to an attorney as soon as possible, and they can begin those steps to investigate and gather evidence related to your injuries.
And I think the key words you said there were as soon as possible. You don't want to wait a few months down the road and maybe you talk to a few people, your brother-in-law says, you just get somebody on your side as quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible.
Excellent. Thank you so much for answering our questions. Some great information, Jasper. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been attorney Jasper Abbott of the Warshauer Law Group in Atlanta. If you want the best information or you're ready to choose a lawyer that lawyers choose, be sure to go to askthelawyer.com first. Also, please take a sec to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking below. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com.